Who?
Monmouth, the team that beat Hampton 16A and 16B.
You open?
Huh? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, welcome to another fine edition of It's a Sports Show. As always, Scott Cray. And as always, Dolphin Paul. And we'll get to it later, but you must be a very, very happy Dolphins fan. This is unbelievable.
Exciting, very exciting offseason.
Bad for Patriot Nation? We'll get into it later. Actually, no, NFL is first on our list, so let's get to it now. A couple of things that affect the Eastern Division. David Givens going to Tennessee, taking the money, going to a losing team. Sure the old school Kathy Pettit that used to be here is happy, being the Tennessee fan she is. Good for Givens taking the money, but look who's throwing to him. You know what I mean? A guy that's about on his last leg, in my opinion.
Well, let's back up a little bit. The last time we left off the show, we had the big NFL went down to the last hours. The owners ratifying the big meeting.
Right. Not a unanimous vote.
Not a unanimous vote.
Thanks to the
Ralph
90-year-old.
Wilson, because he couldn't understand it.
I voted
But
against
it was very
because I couldn't
complicated,
understand
and you know what? I mean, we don't want to spend all day on that, but I guess Paul Tagliabue made an impassioned speech,
Right.
and this is why football is the best sport around, because a lot of those owners gave some of their hard earnings,
Yep.
i.e. Jerry Jones and,
Right.
and Bob Kraft and the guys that do a lot of extracurricular income. They came up with a revenue sharing plan for the bottom feeders like Arizona.
Right.
So they realized for the good of the game that they needed to get this ratified, or else 2007 was going to be an uncapped year. So kudos to the NFL, kudos to the owners.
Yeah, they figured it out, and
I mean, they got
everybody's
it done,
happy.
and the best sport in the world, because it's the best managed with the salary cap and so forth, is extended for another 6 years. So that got out of the way last week after our show. But after that, all heck broke loose with free agency.
For the most part,
people going
except
everywhere.
for the Patriots, the team that you could consider, I'd say, in the top 5 in all of the NFL as it relates to the situation they were in monetary-wise. They've been planning for this, and they were well under the cap already, and they could rock and roll, and
They're
they
usually
haven't.
pretty quiet, but this is kind of ominous. Everybody's waiting for a big thud,
Right.
or for them to go out and get a LeVar Arrington, or make a trade for a big receiver. But as you mentioned,
People are
David
coming and
Givens, I mean, another result of this NFL agreement is that players are getting a lot of money. David Givens, who didn't even have 1,000 yards,
$30 million?
$5 million per year, $8 million signing bonus. Now I like the guy. He visited Miami.
Right.
I wished he would have gone to Miami, but $5 million. I'm thinking Jerry Rice only a few years back. He's gone. I mean, you're talking Cleveland, Romeo
Now you've
Crennel.
set the precedent, and other receivers with much bigger numbers than Givens is saying, really beautiful, because they can see they can get the big signing bonus up front, which is guaranteed, and then the
It's funny
that's it for Givens.
It's funny that you should mention that, because Deion Branch is going to be in the same boat next year.
She wearing clogs today or something? Sheesh. That's going to be coming up on our mics. We got our camera people wearing clogs in the studio.
A lot of activity here. It's a busy day.
Unbelievable.
It's like Sports Center.
All right, so let's break it down. Some of the big names. We already talked about Givens going to Tennessee, and we've got Drew Brees going to New Orleans. Edgerrin James.
That's
huge.
James
going to Arizona. And then, of course, Dante Culpepper going to Miami. So some big names sticking out.
Unlike
why
any
did the
other
Patriots
year.
not go after Edge?
Well, you got Corey Dillon. The Patriots historically have not busted the bank for anybody. Not only you're talking about David Givens, you're also talking about Adam Vinatieri, who's still out there, and that's good news for Patriot fans, as nobody's really aggressively pursued him yet.
Right.
I guess he's scheduled to go to the Packers to visit them, so Patriot fans are keeping their fingers crossed. Willie McGinnis went to visit Cleveland. He's still out there.
McGinnis is a perfect example. Tell me McGinnis is not looking at Givens' contract and saying, wonderful, thank you.
But Willie McGinnis is a lot older. I mean, he's 34. He's on the last 9, and David Givens, ironically, is trying to be...
He's been proven, too,
No,
as opposed to Givens.
He's a pretty good linebacker, but I think people are hesitant to pay him a lot of money.
Yeah.
Speaking of Cleveland, Romeo Crennel, he's gone to town. Charles Bentley, the descendant from New Orleans, who many people had as the #1 free agent on the market.
Yep.
He went. They've been signing people left and right. The Washington Redskins have been going bonkers. Randall L. from the Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers, $11 million signing bonus?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love Randall L, but he's kind of a utility guy.
Well, what they're doing at that point, they were targeting him probably before these negotiations finally came to an agreement, and they were saying, look, we got to do what we got to do to get this guy. This is our guy, and they probably had absolutely no backup plan beyond Randall L. So they put out big signing money so that the guy couldn't say no, and he didn't. And that makes sense, though. That makes sense because, you know, here's a guy who, by the time this contract is up, that's going to be it for him. So he needs the big money, wouldn't you say?
Well, he does, but I mean, you better get a lot of use out of him. He's not really the number one there. They still got Santana Moss. They traded for Brandon Lloyd from San Francisco.
It's the Redskins.
Well, no, you're right. That's exactly the point
They're
you're making.
famous for making these
They have the
ludicrous decisions.
the credit card mentality. And
Yeah.
Joe Gibbs had to come out today or yesterday and defend the policy of signing all these players. So a lot of teams are being very aggressive in free agency. Of course, the big moves, as you mentioned, Edgerrin James going to Arizona. Now, people are going to laugh. I know Arizona's a bad team. But, I mean, Larry Fitzgerald on one side, Anquan Bolden on the other.
Right.
Edgerrin James, which they were the worst rushing team in the league.
Right.
Offensive line, ding, question mark. Kurt Warner, he can throw the ball downfield.
You got to wonder, though, at what point he's all done. You know what I mean?
Well, they probably got a short window.
He hasn't proven anything.
They probably have a short
while.
window with him, but they have a pretty solid team on the field as we speak. Drew Brees, of course, was the guy who was going to land in Miami. Went to New Orleans on Saturday. Nick Saban made a preemptive move, which was pretty smart. Went to Alabama, Birmingham, Saturday morning to intercept Brees going to New Orleans.
Right.
And said, hey, listen, we really want you. Don't do anything until you talk to us, which was a good move.
Yeah.
Didn't
work, though.
He went to New Orleans and then went to Miami Sunday and stayed through Monday. I thought something was going to get done on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Apparently, whammo.
Just
Tuesday
like that.
afternoon, I guess the Dolphins were reluctant after they had a medical exam to give him, he wanted $10 million guaranteed this year. Dolphins looked at his shoulder and said, you know what, that's too much guarantee in the first year.
Right.
He ended up getting $10 million per year
He got it
for 6 years.
Right.
I like Drew Brees, and I'm not saying this because Miami got Dante Culpepper, but man, big shoulder injury.
Yeah. This isn't like
It's not like a
baseball.
knee.
Right.
I know Dante Culpepper's got a knee, but he's
Right.
got a terrific arm. He could stand on one knee and throw it 25 to 30 yards. So,
Now, Culpepper's been kind of quiet as of, he's not the same Dante Culpepper we remember seeing.
well, he had a forgettable last year.
Right.
I mean, the year before, one of the best in NFL history. People
True.
forget that. Last year, without Randy Moss, the Love Boat incident we talked about, a lot of love boats in Miami. He'll be fine there.
Right. But you know, aside from that incident, Dante Culpepper is definitely not trouble. You never, not that I can remember, have you heard of trouble following Culpepper? He's not your typical T.O. type of guy. There was this one incident, and it's a big one.
He's not. He had a thing where he wanted to re-up his contract. I don't know if that was a ploy to get out of there.
Right.
Of course, I mean, I don't blame Minnesota saying, listen, we just gave you a big contract. We're not going to re-up. He's from Florida. He's willing to go to Miami. He said he even wants to rework his contract to fit into their cap. And
Nice
he doesn't have a humongous. I mean, they don't have to negotiate with him. They traded, so all they're paying him is a roster bonus. So he's actually right now coming cheaper than Drew Brees.
Right.
So I mean,
Well, your opinion, the Dolphin fan that you are, how soon do you start seeing the result of bringing a big name like this? You haven't had a big quarterback
it depends
since
when he's
Marino, basically.
I think if he's healthy, well, healthy in relative terms. Let's say he starts the season. I mean, I think you see an immediate improvement.
Yeah.
You know,
Will that translate into wins is the question. Is he
I
going to
think
have the
so.
support
I mean, look at
around
Chris
him?
Chambers. Chris Chambers has never had a quarterback. I mean, everybody's been talking about. We talk about on this show, Miami.
Yeah.
Oh, who's the quarterback? You don't have a quarterback. You don't have a quarterback. You don't have a quarterback. I mean, what now? One of the top 5 QBs in the league. I mean, I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, but I think, a couple of years ago he certainly was. But
Sure.
I think he's certainly in the top echelon of NFL quarterbacks in Miami. Got him for a second-round pick.
If he could stay healthy.
A.J. Feely for a second-round pick.
Right.
A second-round picks. The past 10 Miami second-round picks have been all forgettable.
Right.
So this was a good deal. And worst comes to worst, 2-3 years, the marriage doesn't work out.
They lost the second-round pick, and,
This is a good deal. By all accounts, all the experts agree with it. I
Yep.
thought I'd prefer Brees a little better because of his leadership qualities. But, I mean, Dante Culpepper, we're rocking and rolling. I'm ready to go. Can we finally unseat the Patriots? That's the big
I think that's
question.
probably pushing it just a little too much, don't you?
No way. We're ready.
Although
We're
I have
ready.
to say, people, Pats fans should at least be mildly concerned because, hey, the way Miami finished last year was super impressive. They all bought into the system. The whole respect issue has been kind of redrawn, so to speak.
It's a good coach. He made some good moves, and I think you brought up something that I forgot to say. The system.
Yeah.
That's Dante Culpepper's system because his offensive coordinator was Miami's offensive coordinator last year.
Right.
And as you know, they got Malarkey, the head coach from Buffalo, to be the offensive coordinator. But to Nick Saban's credit, he said, hey, we're not going to blow this thing up after 1 year.
Right.
We're going to keep pretty much the same offense and have the coach learn our system and tweak it.
Yep.
So Culpepper, you talk about when would the results show?
Right.
I mean, he's familiar with the system.
So
it's
it's
not
gonna be
like you're going to
perfect.
go through a ton of terminology or stuff like that.
I mean,
I'd be more optimistic.
Beyond you being a Miami fan, are we talking
And being
serious,
blindly optimistic?
I mean, super blindly optimistic. Are we talking like, is there going to be a real difference here in? Should Pats fans at this point be worried that it's possible that Miami could start looking to take things over in the East, especially when you look at the fact that the Pats really haven't done anything other than just stay under the cap, which is where they are?
Well, I mean, you'd have to say at this point, if you look at Miami on paper, and of course, listen, we have a lot of fun on the show, and I like to talk Miami because that's what I follow. A lot of things can happen. Of course, Dante Culpepper has to be, because they released Gus Farrat, so it's pretty much Culpepper
Right.
or somebody like maybe Tommy Maddox they might bring in if he's healthy.
Right.
Big question mark, I agree with that. I mean, Miami finished last year only 1 game behind the Patriots.
Right.
They won their last 6.
Let me just throw my marker.
A lot
Keep 'em
of,
on
let me
there.
throw my cap. A lot of movement here.
Unbelievable.
But
Anyway, so
I mean, they won the last 6 last year. They got the quarterback. They still got a second-year running back, with the drafted number
they
2
had some
last
tough
year,
teams in those
Ronnie
last
Brown.
6 too, if I remember.
They played well. They got
Yep.
it. They need to tweak the defense, but certainly, I'll say this: if there's one team to give New England competition in the AFC East, it's definitely Miami.
Right.
I mean, I think right now you'd have to say Miami, New England, and the AFC East, and I think Miami closed the gap. Until they do it,
Right.
Until they do it,
I know.
you really can't say. But I mean, the NFL in general, just nuts. I mean, guys getting money everywhere.
That's why it's so amazing that they come to agreement with this whole thing, and then all of a sudden you see these non-star players getting star money. And I don't think that that's what they intended when they finally put this all together. Now money's just being thrown out there. First of all, you had people releasing releasing players to free agency left and right prior to this agreement, and so that left a lot of decent players out there that are now, like I said, getting superstar money. And the fact that the NFL is going so nuts, different teams are going nuts, it still bothers me that the Patriots seemingly have done nothing.
Well, that's a concern. I mean, I know a lot of talk on sports radio. I mean, look at their wide receivers. They pretty much have Deion Branch, who's an excellent receiver,
Yep.
and Bethel Johnson.
Right.
I mean, there's no David Patton.
But they rely on spreading it out
Well,
so
but still,
much.
I mean, you've got the tight ends. There's nobody to take David Givens' spot now. T.O. is out there as we speak.
Ugh.
Probably not a Patriots guy.
Who else, too, formerly of...
This is the one I want to ask you.
yeah,
Keyshawn Johnson.
that's the big one going
There's
around.
a little bit of a debate whether he's a Patriot guy or not. I say no. You know why? Because
I agree.
I give a guy a second chance always.
Right.
He's been on his 3rd and 4th
Oh.
team. There's always a problem.
He has had... Well, how many
I don't think
teams
he's as
been
bad
on?
as
4 or
T.O.
something?
as far as being selfish, but
No.
there's always a situation with the coach,
He
always a situation
he
with the
may be
quarterback.
selfish just as well, just not to the extreme PR. We read it in the paper every day like T.O. is. Big mistake
I
to
mean,
go
him
down
and Brady
that.
with those tight ends and Branch would be a good fit on the field. I just
Right.
don't know if it's a type of play that the Pats want to bring in. But historically, the Pats have waited and made a move.
True.
Now, whether they're doing that or not in this case, who knows? But you're right. I mean,
But you would think...
depending on McGinnis and Vinatieri, I mean,
Oh,
the Patriots-
Vinatieri, we didn't even talk about him.
Well, yeah, we mentioned him earlier real quick.
Yeah.
If he doesn't come back, the Patriots obviously didn't want to franchise him.
Why? Why did the Patriots not pay the money to keep this guy? Are they seeing something
Well,
we
I
don't?
mean, it is a
he on
lot
the
of money for a
downside?
kicker, and they probably just gambled.
But you're talking an extraordinary kicker
I
here.
guess they didn't want to give him guaranteed money. I've said they've sucked every great kick out of him. I'm not saying he has any left, but I mean, $3 million.
They must be thinking he doesn't to not pay.
I mean, $3 million plus is a lot.
That's a lot for a
lot
kicker, but
for
it's
a
still
kicker.
a drop in the dime in the big scenario of things. You
But
know
the
what I mean?
Patriots are cold-hearted when it comes to personnel decisions.
Yep.
I mean, everybody
I
loves
heard it
Adam.
said
I've
best.
met Adam a few times. Got the pleasure of meeting him.
Yep.
Super guy. I could see where,
But they don't. The Patriots.
Patriots, they separate that line.
I heard it best on the radio this past week when they were talking about Vinatieri. They get a report in front of them and they read it as a report.
Right.
They don't have heartstrings tagged to these guys.
Yeah.
And most of the time it has worked. If you look at players formerly from New England going to other teams, gotten big money that the Patriots didn't want to pay them, they haven't done anything in particular other than maybe Curtis Martin being
I mean, are they a product of the... It'd be interesting to see with David Givens, who was kind of a complimentary receiver.
Yep.
Now in Tennessee, can he handle the whole load?
Right.
Who knows? But a lot of more NFL movement coming up. And, of course,
Oh,
this affects the draft in the different ways. New Orleans now has a QB, so what did they do at
cracks
number
me
2?
up to see like Breeze going to New Orleans, Givens going to Tennessee. You know, these players are taking bigger money, okay, which is no great surprise, but they're going to sucky teams. And Givens is like, am I right or am I
Don't beat
right?
around the bush.
I
agree with you. I wanted Breeze. Now
I'm
he's
not going
out.
to put whipped cream on this.
You know,
what
listen,
I mean?
listen.
They're going to terrible teams that they can't possibly play all that well and put up the numbers.
I'm not saying this because I'm a Miami fan. I really am not. And I know we say $2 million's not a big deal.
Right.
But if I was a quarterback in Breeze's situation, I'll tell my agent, listen, you squeeze everything you can out of Miami, then sign the deal.
Yeah.
You're going to quarterback purgatory. It's great to say,
Big time.
I want to revive the program. Well,
Good luck.
A ravaged area.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish them all the best and rebuilt the city because it's
Look
one
what
of
they went
America's
through last
greatest
year.
cities.
You know, they
Absolutely.
couldn't even play at home.
Why would you go to New Orleans? I don't care how much money's in New Orleans, boy.
Right.
I would not put that uniform on. I'm sorry. So
And unlike-
you want to go to New Orleans? Bye-bye. Have fun.
See, Givens can at least say, I've got more rings than I've got fingers. You know,
In Tennessee, it's not like
now I'm
they're
going to
the,
go where the buyout
In
is.
Tennessee, it's not like they're the worst team in the NFL. They're a solid team. They're coached by Jeff Fisher. Yes, Steve McNair. I mean, they're a pretty solid team.
They suck.
So we should probably move on. And
Yeah.
There'll be a lot more NFL
How much time
upcoming.
we got left before we go bracket? You want to do WBC or bracketology?
Bracketology.
Oh, wonderful. I was afraid you'd say that. I didn't hear Paul. What did he say?
What do we got, Paul?
I don't know. I can't hear him. The mic's
Is
not
there anybody there?
working.
Hello?
Yeah, they're all
I guess
walking
we're
back
on
and
our roll.
forth in and out of the studio.
We could be on commercials
They'll
right
let us
now.
know in a heartbeat. Hey, it's Dave
Hey,
Betancourt.
Dave Betancourt.
What's up, Dave?
You want to make a surprise appearance on camera?
Yeah.
I'm just here to sing.
You're just here to sing?
I
Yeah,
assume that's.
I wrote this number
All right,
myself.
why don't you get right here in the
Right
middle? I'd have you sit in my lap, but I'm not
Listen,
playing
I'm
Santa
sorry you
Claus.
got voted off American Idol, so you're coming here.
Don't go changing. I know, that's all I know.
That's all you know.
That's it?
That's the only lyric.
Yeah,
for
I
the
just
most
said hello
part.
because I'm sorry I'm
You gotta
late.
crouch a little. You're getting
Yeah.
your head chopped off here. You should know better. The world famous.
Sorry,
Dave
I'm
Betancourt.
sorry I'm late. I was watching.
The viewers of It's a Sports Show
I was
have
watching
only.
Mexico and the Americans.
They actually had a game on.
No, I'm just kidding.
Because
There's
that's
no
one of
games
the
on.
things
I don't
we
know
were
when
talking
they're on.
about.
No, the USA plays in the
But,
middle of in the darkness of the night.
3 o'clock in the morning.
10 o'clock,
basically.
11 o'clock in the morning.
Did you do your brackets? Can we
You
include
got this
in
close
them?
up? Right
No,
now?
they don't have a close up on you.
Hey,
They like cameras working.
Yeah, I like Duke a lot. What are the number ones? I like them.
All the number ones.
Yeah.
That's well, out
No,
of
I'm
all the
serious,
number
like,
ones, who do
No,
you take?
I really think that.
All right,
that
we'll keep the show
everyone's
going.
talking about.
I guess we have no
the
choice.
number one
Everyone's
seeds.
talking about
been
parity.
interrupted.
Listen,
Duke?
everyone's talking about parity because high school kids are going to the NBA, and I just don't see that. Like I
Oh,
don't.
we're way off.
I don't
we don't
see
have
that
time
at
for
all.
that today.
Okay,
I see-
Duke
I
and
see
Memphis are the number one seeds with the same record. On the flip side, you've got
What are you asking
Connecticut.
me something?
Yeah, Connecticut.
Air Force
and
shouldn't be in it.
Villanova. So, out of those teams, Memphis, Duke, Connecticut, Villanova.
This is a long question. This is an essay.
No, you said you're taking all the number one seeds.
No,
but
I like
in
Boston
the end,
College.
You
too.
have to pick
And
one.
They're number 4.
Who's your final?
Well, let's start with a few things. How about a record 8 teams from the
Did you talk about Dante Culpepper
from the
on
Big
the
East?
Dolphins?
Absolutely.
He just comes in. He's just going to reiterate the first
we-
25 minutes of the show.
Talk about the American baseball team.
I've got my hotel already booked for Super Bowls. I mean, there's nothing but Culpepper. Sergeant Culpepper and the Lonely Hearts Club Band is
Do
coming.
we seriously have to hold this like this?
Apparently. Hey, you're the
terrible.
one that can't show up on a show on time.
Well, you
What'd
know
you
what
think?
it
We were
is.
going
You're
to wait for
interrupting
you?
a very
We
important
started
segment,
late as it
bracketology.
was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is unbelievable. Anyway.
Well,
Security?
All right,
I have
brackets.
I'm a dentist. I have a crazy schedule.
Do you have any like Cinderella teams, any teams that would shock people, as far as making it, not necessarily all the way, but a little further than maybe some people would think?
UAB, I think, could. I had Kentucky and I got them going, beating Kentucky.
Yep.
Oh, that wouldn't be a humongous upset, but unfortunately they face UConn.
Right.
I think a team like West Virginia, hottest 3-point team in the country,
Yeah.
could maybe make some noise. But I'm like him. I don't see, I know there's always upsets, but I just don't see a lot of teams that really grab me as Cinderellas.
It almost seems like as you go through this, you're starting to look at it and you go, Well, no kidding. You look at the seeds, and it's corresponding completely into how these brackets advance. Like, I don't see any craziness going on. Like you're saying, those Cinderella teams. Not even that. I don't even see really too many upsets.
There
or
probably
anything.
will be, though. I mean, we don't
Yeah,
see
you
it.
know
but
there's going to
but
be.
there
You just don't
probably
know
will
what
be.
they are.
I mean, in the past.
Sorry.
Pay attention,
happened?
would you? Let's
I
get
got
the
in
mic
trouble.
blocking his
I got in
beautiful
trouble.
face.
You know how we always have the classic 12-5 upset in the first round?
Right.
Yes.
I'm gonna
I don't
ups-
see it.
I'm going to upset one of my best friends, Scotty Quinishi
Oh
from
no,
the Qs.
Syracuse going down.
I got A&M beating the Qs, and I'll tell you why. The Qs, I don't know. Well, obviously.
Yeah, they came on late.
I mean, they had a tremendous run, Jerry McNamara, to win the Big East.
Right.
Yeah.
They were down to nothing until one final shot
Right.
beat Cincinnati, and ironically, Cincinnati got booted because of that miracle finish.
Right.
And Syracuse went on to win 2 more games and win the Big East.
So you think it was enough to get in, but that's about
Well,
all they're
I
doing.
think they could be in for classic letdown. To Texas A&M, I got them
How
moving
far
on
do
there
you
a
have
little bit.
A&M going?
I got them getting beat by LSU in the very next bracket.
Okay.
Well, LSU has Shaquille O'Neal. So.
Okay, let's. I'm not sure how much
7'2".
time we got, but let's go real quick through the Atlanta region.
All right.
You got Duke going all the way down.
Yeah,
I have
can't.
Duke all the
I have
way.
no surprises.
Duke
I've
is
got
the Final
Duke.
Four.
I
of
got Duke,
Atlanta.
although
You know what cracks me up? I'm looking at Texas playing in Texas.
Yeah,
That's got to be a bit
that's a good
of
poll.
an advantage. So that's why I have Texas.
I don't think
obviously
that they're
going
strong
that
enough
far.
to beat Duke.
Texas is a very good team, probably one of the best starting fives in the country. I got Duke beating them
But
up because
so do
they're
I.
Duke and
So you have
Well,
Duke,
Duke,
JJ
Texas.
Redick.
I think,
I
Duke
got-
has better guard play, and I think in the tournament that's what it comes down
Duke
to.
and Texas. I got
is-
Texas beating West Virginia.
It's hot guards. And
Duke
I think
beating
Duke
LSU.
has, yeah. Don't you
Some
think?
hot guard. Yeah, absolutely. JJ Redick, the
Yeah,
best
he's
player in
the
the
best
country.
player in the country. So I like Pittsburgh too.
Okay,
as well.
well, wait a minute. Hold, slow down, lad. Let's go region
All right,
by region
sorry.
there, baseball boy.
All right.
So we got Duke making it.
Let's go to the
far.
Oakland
Duke.
region.
I agree.
Memphis, John Calipari, tremendous job with Memphis.
Yes.
Yep.
I got Bucknell beating Arkansas, which is not a huge upset.
I think Memphis
so
and
do I.
Pittsburgh square off, and Pittsburgh beats them.
Well, see, I'm opposite. I get Kansas
that's
advancing. I
interesting.
get Kansas beating Pitt. Pitt's a Big East team. I got loyalty to the Big East, but sometimes they can get cold. They can get cold shooting. So I get Kansas beating them, and I actually got Kansas going to the
Going against
to
Memphis.
the final eight against UCLA.
Oh.
I like
I've
Zaga
got-
too in that bracket.
I
That's
got
tough
like
for me.
Gonzaga.
I've got
Adam
Kansas.
Morrison, one of the best players in the country.
I've
Great
got
haircut.
Kansas losing to
Great
Pitt.
haircut. Almost, he looks like you a little bit. Adam Morrison. Adam Morrison live here.
Live
Thank
on
you.
the show.
Thanks.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
But he can grow a mustache, and I can't. So
I got.
He has
Here's
that
my
on.
surprise. I got UCLA coming out of that bracket. I
really?
just have a thing for UCLA right now, and I got.
really,
Yes, I do.
Who do you got UCLA beating in the Final Four in that? Well, not. The
I got him
Final
beating
Four,
Kansas,
Yeah.
which
right.
I mean that's a tough game.
I'm gonna get Pittsburgh out of that bracket. I think they
Okay.
make it to the Final Four.
Let's move on
I
to.
got Pittsburgh, Memphis, and then Memphis. I actually
Remember
got.
when Gonzaga was like a
I got
Cinderella team?
Well, I got Gonzaga
they're
beating San
perennial.
Diego, and then beating UCLA.
Oh,
Right.
that could very
For
well happen.
Memphis Gonzaga. I
I
have a
got
thing
UCLA.
for Gonzaga for some
My
reason
wrist
every
hurts.
year.
Well, that's because he looks like Adam Morrison.
That's what it is.
How about the Washington D.C. bracket? I mean,
you can look at
UConn
this
lucked
'cause
out.
I didn't even fill out that side.
Oh,
He
yeah?
looks like he's gonna sing to me again.
UConn here.
Don't go
Use
changing.
Paul
Look
French
at
is
Frenchies.
Frenchie's.
Frenchie's,
Frenchie's
who's
got
that?
Con.
Who's this?
I think Connecticut has got the easiest road at the #1 seed.
He's got Con
I
going
mean,
on.
I got
And their
the-
women's team is excellent too.
I got them playing UAB, beating Illinois, moving on.
Villanova.
I got them beating Tennessee. I think Tennessee's
Excellent
going to make a
guard
little
play.
noise.
Don't they have,
there.
like, 4
Excellent
guards?
Guard play. I
Yeah.
That's
think
what
they
Frenchie's
excellent
got.
guard
He's
play.
got Con and 10, but Con beating
Wait,
Tennessee.
have I commented yet on yours? Is different layout.
Yeah,
I
yes,
see what's going on.
Just
yes.
going on.
All right, I like. I do like Villanova, going pretty deep. I don't know.
Are
We'll
we
see
moving
what
on
else.
to the Minneapolis bracket? Let's go
Oh,
to
I'm sorry. Where
Minneapolis.
did we
All
go?
right.
DC?
Nope, we're right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Yes.
Mini?
Okay, well,
Go
we
Twins.
got Villanova, again, Big East.
Yes.
Yeah.
Villanova.
I get Wisconsin, excuse me, beating Arizona.
I'll take that.
I got BC beating Nevada. BC and Nova, I got BC advancing.
Right.
Oh,
I
cool.
think if BC beats Pacific, I think that's going to be their
You guys
toughest
really
game
think
for a
they'll go
while.
that far, huh?
I think Boston College. I think that the game that they
They got
could
a very good
lose
team.
is that Pacific game. I think that's going to be a tough game for them.
Yeah.
I got Florida.
See, I
Florida
think, I don't think
advancing,
Florida's
beating
any good.
Oklahoma. I like Florida. Billy Donovan.
Yep.
I got them in the Final Four.
I'm not
I
an
know it's a
Ohio
stretch.
State believer either.
I can't
Oh,
even.
Ohio State's a good team. I got Nova, BC, Florida, and Ohio State with Florida advancing. Billy Donovan. PC.
See in front of me because
I like
didn't get that
Oklahoma
far.
too in that. I don't know what
I've
to do.
got Frenchie's
I don't know what to do.
brackets. Okay, Final Four: Duke, Memphis.
I'm gonna scratch out
Villanova,
your Gonzaga.
Okay, I'm
Now-
a little bit different than Frenchie. I got Duke, UCLA, Florida, and UConn. With UConn and Duke, I mean, it's kind of boring.
It
That's
comes
the
down to
chalk.
the same thing. That's what
Yep.
Frenchie's got is UConn and Duke, and then UConn being the champ.
We'll talk a little more next week about the NCAAs.
Oklahoma.
I tell you what Jen says.
I'll be
but-
here on time next week.
She's got V and A playing each other. A winning.
Oh, A. Go A.
A losing to BC, which at least I
And
can figure that part out.
V plays IAGRA.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, in the first bracket, G nor D go very far.
Now, you know, I used to, well, let's, and we'll talk.
I got Montana winning the whole
This is
thing.
where the
We'll
show
talk
goes
some more. Yeah,
downhill.
this show's going
People,
right to heck.
people, wait, you hear that? That's crickets. People are turning off at this point.
What are you talking about? The moment I stepped onto this show,
You have anything to add to
viewership
the
shot
base-
through the roof.
You have anything to add to this already long baseball season
Well, we
that
got
is
4
now
minutes
expanded?
left, so we got
4
one
minutes.
thing. Time.
Oh,
to
One
talk
thing I have
about
to
the
say
WBC.
is that it greatly troubled me when I saw that Buck Martinez benched all the good players on Team America in that loss to who did they lose to just now? They lost to like Korea or someone. Yeah, they lost to Korea because
Yeah.
Hee-Sop Choi hit a big 3-run homer.
I'll tell you what
I didn't-
bothers me.
What bothers you?
The fact that
boy.
in the fantasy baseball league that
Oh,
we are
jeez.
both
That-
in,
you know what,
that
that's
you
not-
stole Kerry Wood from me.
That's not time. It's
Now
not
these
time.
tuners are really going to turn
It's
on.
not time for that.
I want to know one
Right.
thing.
What do you want to know?
When the Major League Baseball champion is crowned in late October, possibly early November,
Right.
I mean, should they be called world champions?
Well, now that we got the
course.
WBC, maybe they shouldn't.
World Baseball Classic is obviously
A
a
joke?
way. No, it's a way for baseball to try to gain popularity and compete with football. And football does the same thing by doing games in Mexico and Japan. And I think for baseball, they realize that all their players are not American. We have there's a lot of Dominicans. There's a lot of
He's gonna get me
Mexicans.
all fired up.
And I think that
Scott thinks they should all play here because that's how they get paid and that's how we pay
well,
them.
it's a good point, but
You know?
however.
That's how he likes it. We
Why are
pay
you
them.
talking
They make
with
their
that
money in
accent? What are
America.
you insinuating here?
Yeah, they make their money here. We sure as heck they should
Don't
play
even get
here.
me
These
started.
boys.
I actually, when I came in earlier, Scott was playing the banjo out front with a little boy. They were
Yeah,
playing
good.
back and
In
forth.
all honesty, guys, I'll tell you what I'm surprised about.
That's a good movie, by the way.
I'll tell you what I'm surprised about.
Just for the record.
That 3 people are watching
No.
the WBC?
No, listen.
That's all I'm here
I've
for,
watched
is to
some
add
of it.
sarcasm.
I'm surprised at how good the other teams are.
Well,
Yeah.
no kidding.
So-
they got Major League
No,
Baseball
but some of these
playing
things
No,
like
they're-
Venezuela,
Don't even
Korea,
get
come
me
on.
Yeah,
started.
the games have been pretty
Korea's-
good. Did you watch that game where the
How many Cubans are
They
playing?
have
Where the
Major
Americans
League
stole
Baseball
it.
players
Who does Cuba
playing
have?
for them.
Besi-
Okay, so
besides
use
Puerto
Cuba
Rico
as an
and
exception.
the
Don't
Dominica-
use Korea. They got plenty of
yeah,
Major
but the
League
Cubans are
Baseball
nasty
players.
and they don't have any
How
major
many?
leaguers.
What? Byung Kim?
And Hee-Sop Choi.
I didn't say they're all good, okay? But Byung Kim at Major League level, who sucks at Major League level, is still better
I
than
expected,
half the jabronis
I
that are
expected
playing
some of
on
these
the other
teams to get completely run over, and they've been very competitive. I
Yeah.
don't care who Korea
How
has.
did
but
North Africa, South Africa, East Africa
Well, you know
work
what?
out?
That's not. You're missing the point of the. I don't know. I
Is
don't
there
want to
a
get into
point
it. Yeah, the
to the
point is,
WBC?
it's not
All
going to
right.
happen for another 5 years or
Here's
so.
the
so
big
who-
news today.
I've enjoyed it.
I'll
thought it
show
was
you
cool.
an example of
I-
what
you know
think
what?
about
You
The
know,
bottom
I think
line
the baseball
is-
season is long.
The bottom
but I've
line is,
enjoyed it.
I like
you've
watching
extended it.
baseball in March, and I don't want to watch spring training games
All
because
it
those
is
are
like a
boring.
glorified
Have you,
all-star
how many have you
game.
watched?
2.
I
And
think
not
he's
even
lying.
full games.
Yeah,
Not even
exactly.
full games.
Well, I don't
Not
sit there
even
watching
close.
every inning, but
I
I
don't care.
follow it. And, well,
I said I'd give it a chance to see if I care. You know what?
and
Gave
I
it a
think
chance.
it's great. I've
Don't
said this
care.
before. I think it's great that the fans from other countries can sit there and root their country out.
First of all, I work in the school system. I'm not up at
here we go.
3:30 in the morning
Oh, boy,
when
here we
these
go.
games are on.
All
What?
right.
Am I the only one
don't have
here?
to watch
First he was
just the
playing the
USA.
banjo, and now he's playing the violin.
This is unbelievable. 1 minute left.
Good.
How about this? Hot
Good.
news today.
I'm glad there's
Korea-
1 minute left.
Okay, this is what is said about the WBC. Korea is hoping to win, okay, because their government has said if Korea advances, that the players for Korea do not have to do their mandatory 2 to 4 years of service in the
Good.
Korean army.
That's good. Good
That's
for
the
them.
big news.
That's a
Has
good-
nothing to do
that's
with
a good
anyone else.
incentive.
I'd play my
Home
balls
runs,
off.
RBIs,
Did I say
great
that?
pitching stories. You know,
What an incentive!
Yeah.
You do
that's
not
funny.
have to join the
I'm looking
army.
at my WBC stats. I don't see anyone has pitched, 9 shutout innings or
I say
anything
Korea wins
worth talking about.
26-3.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
We
It's
need
the sports
Korea,
show
right?
at yahoo.com.
The Americans need Korea to score a whole bunch of runs.
Hey, can you
tonight.
promise to be here on the next show and be here on time
When is
and
it?
have some input?
We need some
It'll be
baseball
next
expertise.
Tuesday. It's baseball
Every
season,
Tuesday.
man.
I'll be
If
here.
you
Every
pop
Tuesday.
Up, pop
I'll
up
be here
next
every
week.
Tuesday.
Tuesday at 4, not
Scout's
4,
honor.
later than that. Whenever it is we shoot. Tuesday.
It has to be at 4 because I have class at 6.